is here to read Mr. Q's will.
Thank you, Alice. I would just like to extend my condolences to the entire family.
You drew up Daddy's will?
Mr. Quartermaine had a great deal of respect for my legal expertise.
Why not one of the lawyers from ELQ?
There were concerns about objectivity.
Objectivity? You're AJ's lawyer. That is a blatant conflict of interest.
I drew up this will well before I was retained.
I want a different lawyer.
Too bad. Edward wanted Miss Miller. She's going to read the will.
Thank you so much, Monica. And now that that's settled...
Okay, everyone, let's gather around. Have a seat.
Come on.
Well, if you're going to read the damn thing, read it.
I, Edward Lewis Quartermaine...
Oh, please, skip the formalities. Just get to the part where Daddy's last wishes for me and his many progenies.
To my living grandchildren.
Grandchildren? What about his children?
I'm just reading what it says here, Tracy.
Oh, you know what, you're right, Daddy. Always complained about my lack of patience, and even in death, he's keeping me waiting.
My living grandchildren. And according to my list, these are Sky Chandler Quartermaine.
How does Sky count? She wasn't Alan's biological child.
Alan legally adopted Sky, so she counts. Sky Chandler Quartermaine. Jason Morgan.
Jason Morgan is dead.
Jason is missing. His body has not been recovered.
Oh, and so you're going to pretend that he still walks among us so that his widow can inherit what's rightfully mine.
For heaven's sakes, Tracy, Diane is not maneuvering anything so Sam can have Jason's inheritance.
You are so naive.
Moving on. Sky, Jason, Ned Ashton.
What? Ned Ashton? It isn't even the same last name.
Go on.
Dylan Quartermaine Hornsby. Any objections? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Right. To my living grandchildren, I bequeath...
What about AJ?
AJ was not alive when Edward drafted this will.
Well, he's obviously alive now.
Edward did say living grandchildren.
You're absolutely right, Monica. AJ is alive. Again. So obviously the law applies to him. To my living grandchildren, I bequeath to each one of you 12% of my shares of ELQ.
But that's 60%.
Once again, arithmetic wins the day. Now, if I may be allowed to continue.
So, I'm left with 40%. They are the major shareholders. How did Daddy do this to me?
Tracy, I haven't even finished reading the will yet. I'm not even close.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure Daddy has my best interest in mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, family and guests, the caterer would like me to let you know that lunch is now served in the dining room.
Thank you, Alice. Diane, could you move it along, please? We're all feeling a bit peckish.
To my living great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren? Seriously?
Maya Ward.
She counts?
Shut up, Tracy.
Lila Ray Alcazar.
Lila
Shut
Ray?
up, Tracy.
Michael Corinthos III.
Michael, there is no way that he counts. Sonny is legally his father. Sonny raised him. AJ was never, ever a father to Michael.
I can assure you that even though Michael was raised by Sonny, he still counts. Right. Brooklyn Ashton, Daniel Edward Morgan.
How much did Jason pay you? You are doing backflips to make sure Sam and that baby inherit.
To my living great-grandchildren, I bequeath each of you 6% of my shares of ELQ.
That's 30%. I'm left with 10%. How could Daddy do this to me?
As for my remaining ELQ shares, I bequeath 5% to my loyal daughter-in-law, Monica.
What? I have to share my 10% with her?
I share my house with you.
And finally, I bequeath 5% to the woman who's been most faithful to me.
Oh, Daddy.
A woman whose loving attention to me made my days since Lila's death bearable. A woman I've cherished all these years for her constancy, her steadfast support, her honesty, and her plain old-fashioned good sense. Alice Gunderson.
What?
Me?
I would just rather have 5 more years with Mr. Q than that 5%.
Daddy left me nothing? Nothing?
He must have left you something. Diane, what about his cash? His material possessions?
You're absolutely right. I forgot. That was just the shares. He was loaded. I'm sure he left me everything else.
All of my cash holdings, my bonds, my portfolio, and all of my material possessions I leave to be divided equally. 50% to Habitat for Humanity.
50% to charity?
It's a worthy charity.
Even you know that, Tracy.
And the other 50% to PBS.
Public Broadcasting System?
I guess Mr. Quartermaine preferred Big Bird to Oscar the Grouch.
That's it? You've read the entire will?
I have.
Well, then, I suggest we go and enjoy lunch in Edward's honor, shall we? Coming, Tracy?
Mother, are you okay?
Yes, dear, I'm fine. Why don't you go in and have some lunch? I'm sure you're starving.
You sure?
Yes, would you save me some red meat? The bloodier, the better. I don't believe this for a minute.
I can assure you that will is airtight.
There has to be a mistake in this piece of trash document that you drew up. Not one mention of me. Not one. How can that be?
Actually, there was one more thing.
What's this?
Oh, I have no idea. Your father left explicit instructions that it be given to you.
Well, then it must be something wonderful.